Hi there! In case you have watched my previous video, you have already seen this Barbie Retro hat. This hat is authentic, it's made by Mattel back in 2003. There was a whole line called Modern Circle and this one is Barbie from Wave 1. It was a pretty interesting concept they had for these dolls back in the days, but we only have the hat here, so it does not make really sense to talk in depth about it, I think. But we will talk about the hat a little bit more later in the video, because I'm not quite sure if every retro or reproduction hat is made that way, and you will see what I mean with it. And since I have a new retro hat, I thought, why not getting another one of these very cute and affordable fake hats from Aliexpress. I already have the blonde one. I honestly like every hair color, but I decided to get the pink one next. I don't know why it is the case, but lately everything I get is a little bit dirty right from the package. As you can see in the footage, the hat has some dirt stains, especially on the neck and on the side of her head, right on the temple. I did not get it off with just soap and water. I used a magic sponge for it. It does not take a long time to rub it down, and I honestly definitely prefer the magic sponge method over acetone, because not every vinyl takes acetone the same way, and when I don't know exactly what material I'm using it on, I really prefer the magic sponge and use it gently. So far I never had a problem with it. Her hair has the same nice material, the same nylon hair than the blonde version has, but this one here has a nicer rooting pattern. It's just better made, it's not so wavy, and the plugs themselves are fuller, but the differences are not so extreme. It is just a little bit, it is enough to mention it. When you look at the two hats together side by side, they do look really alike. There's not a big difference between these two. Of course, the skin color is a big difference, but when it comes to shape and size, they are nearly identical. And here we do have the two bodies that I have chosen for the hats. The name is directly printed on the package. It's called Kissmela. I guess that's how it is pronounced, but I'm not quite sure. Never heard it from someone else, so I just don't have any idea about it. The one on the left is version 1 and the one on the right is just version 2. You will see there are not a lot of differences, but first let me explain a little bit about these bodies in general and what you would have to expect in case you'd like to buy one. This company is not new, it at least exists since 2016. The concept of these dolls is a bit different than fashion royalty or even the Meng items you can get, or simply every other fashion doll company out there. These dolls here are always DIY. You can buy the bodies, you can also buy Kissmela hats, but they are not painted. Sometimes they are rooted, but even that is not a must. Here you have a few examples for that, and especially when you buy or you like to buy fashion for your dolls on Aliexpress, I'm pretty sure that you have already seen these Kissmela dolls, because a lot of sellers use them as models for their clothing. As you can see in this picture, for example, the Kissmela hat is extremely tiny. Kissmela hats are very tiny. They are way tinier than every other fashion doll I have ever seen. They're even tinier than Ubitsu, for example, when you have the tiny Ubitsu hats. Even if you have no comparison, you can just look at the hands of the dolls and then on the head. There's a big difference, but that's not a problem. You can just use the bodies for other dolls as well, and this is also advertised on the seller pictures usually. But I have to say, these bodies are very special. I only bought one body before, and it took me way over 2 years to get another one, and I can show you why. Maybe some of you have already seen this doll because I used her in one of my Mini Brands fashion styling videos. I was interested in the Kissmela line for quite a while, but I was not really sure what I would like to do with it, and therefore I decided I just will go with the guide for the right neck size for your doll that the seller provides, or every seller that do have these doll bodies has the same picture. And you can see there's the thickest one, the one that both bodies on the table do have, 1.2 centimeters. It's a ball, and it's advertised for the old version Barbie. Whatever that means, I have no clue, and you will see later why I say that. The second one is 0.7 centimeters, and it is simply for everything: Kissmela, Barbie, Fashion Royalty, Poppy Parker, Momoko, Lika, and the other two I cannot read, but I'm pretty sure they are similar in size. The third option is very small with only 0.3 centimeters. It's given here for OB, that means Obitsu 27, and B-Doll. B-Doll is also, I think, a Chinese fashion doll company. I'm not quite sure, but I think so. And it is a very high class and very expensive one. B-Doll also offers mainly DIY parts, doll parts, but they also sell limited edition dolls as far as I know. After I bought my first Kissmela doll, they added a picture of the neck of the smaller versions. But anyway, let's have a look on the posing at first, because it's actually the same as the two bodies on the table. I don't think that there's any other fashion doll body in that price range that can do this. It looks more like a BGD rather than a classical fashion doll, I would say. And even the movement is pretty much similar to a BGD doll, for example. And that's also because of the joints that are not very stiff. These joints are pretty loose from the beginning. That's because of the material. It's a very, as you can see, shiny, smooth plastic material. It's simply a bit different than the standard fashion model doll. But now back to the head, or better said to the neck. This is how I received my doll. Yes, that's no joke, that's exactly how I got it. The big joint, or the big ball on top of it, is just sanded down very unnicely, very unattractive, and that's how you get usually this body. I'm not quite sure if they have changed it, because the picture that was included after I bought this body at least 2, maybe even 3 years ago, was erased recently. I'm a bit mad about it because I would have saved it, but I didn't, because I did not expect that they would remove it. But maybe that's a good sign, maybe they do it better now, a bit smoother or just more professional. I just don't know, and honestly it is not so important because you cannot see the neck part inside of the doll head. But I really wanted to show you that first, in case you're interested in this body, because the whole video will be about this body and other bodies, and it is a very nice body. But I think the neck options are just hilariously dumb, and that's what you should know before you buy this body. So let's finally start the fun part of the video. The first body is exactly the same as the one you have already seen. Same in color, everything the same, just the neck size is different. The neck joint size is different. Here's a short comparison with the newest length body that I have. The main differences are the thighs. You can turn it on the Manx body, and also the knees could be bended more than on the Kissmela body, but of course the Kissmela body does have a way more flexible torso, and also the arms can move a little bit more elegant, I would say. And of course also the hands are very different. The Kissmela hands are way less detailed than the Manx ones, regardless if it is the first version or the second version. And also the Kissmela body does not have removable hands, not the first version of the body. You could remove the hands and use other ones, but I have to say the material is not so flexible and I wouldn't risk it. But the most important part for me is the fact that they do have separated fingers, and completely honestly this is the main part why I choose these bodies for the reproduction heads, because I think that the Manx hands are way too realistic for these older styled heads. When it comes to the clone doll, it is a very, very light skin, and even on the Manx body, which is also very light skinned, in that case you cannot really see all the details. They are pretty much washed out because of the skin color. But when it comes to the original skin color of the modern circle head, you would have a way darker body and you can see the details way more, and I decided that I would like to go with the body that has less details, or in my opinion just looks a bit more vintagey. And that's just the reason why we are here now. The second version comes with this card, and I remember that I also got this card with my first body that I bought, as I said, some time ago, but with the first version that I bought now, or just a few weeks ago, I did not get this card. I don't know why, I guess it's random. As you can see, with version 2 you get 2 pairs of hands. They look pretty similar to the first ones, maybe a little bit updated, a bit prettier, but still not so realistic as other doll hands, but still elegant in my opinion. Another difference I can see is the neck part. The neck in theory is the same, but the attachment is different. On version 1 you do have a ball joint inside of the neck, so the rotating is completely free. In version 2 we do have this bar and the neck part is kinda hooked in. That's just the same way as, for example, a Barbie neck would work. Not sure why they did it. I cannot see any difference. Maybe because the neck parts that you can order now, especially for the second version, are really different. They are maybe not sanded down the way that mine was sent to me back then, so maybe that's the reason why. I just don't know. And since I'm talking again about it, I just would like to notice, honestly there is not a real reason to buy a smaller neck, just in case you would like to change the heads often. For example, if you really like to use one body for pictures or anything, not really to collect a lot of them, just having one for pictures, and you like to try or you put on different heads, that makes sense. Then you would not like to heat up the head every time you would like to change it. But usually when I buy a body, I buy it for one specific head. That's the way how I collect, and therefore I just don't need to change the heads. Of course, sometimes you maybe would like to change it, but that's just once in 1 year or even in years. So normally I don't like to change the heads. I buy one head, one body, and therefore I would not buy the smaller neck joint options again. And here I'm again comparing the two heads, because at that point I still was a bit confused, because both heads do have the same kind of neck articulation, and I always thought that the older style Barbie heads do look different. The neck opening is here nearly the same. Maybe the neck opening of the original head is a bit bigger, but that's it. And I was so sure that it should look different, and because of that I searched for a head that I got in a lot years ago from the 70s, and I got it. I will show you what I mean with the more affordable option of a body that I will show later in the video. Here you can see that the Modern Circle Barbie is a very nice match for the darker skinned or beige skinned body. It looks darker here on the light because the material is just very different. The hair is vinyl, the body is full plastic, but in person there's not a big difference. And as you can see, we have to heat up the heads to give them their new bodies. So I guess it's a good time to show you some color comparisons. The normal skin body, or just the first version of the body, is pretty much the same color than New Neutral. It's definitely lighter than the pink top. It lies in color between the pink tie-dye Made to Move girl and the latest wheelchair Barbie. When it comes to fashion dolls or fashion doll bodies you can get on Aliexpress, the color is very different. On the right side you can see the beige color from Menf. It is way more yellow and does have maybe a slightly gray undertone. On the left you do have the Mitzi replacement body, or whatever you would like to call it. As far as I know, it is an official product from JHD. They stopped producing it for their high fashion doll line, but they still produce it for custom doll collectors or even as a replacement body. I guess some of the colors do work for fashion royalty, for example, and not so much for Barbie, I would say, but definitely for other doll companies as well. When it comes to color matching for Barbie or Mattel, I would say the Kissmela body is definitely the best choice. But I didn't talk about it before, but as you can see, there are only 2 color options in general, so there is not a lot to choose from, but this color is really nice for a standard New Neutral Barbie doll head. Here you can also see the differences in the heeled feet. The Kissmela is a bit bigger and even the heel is a bit higher, but you can see it later when I try on different shoes. When it comes to similarities, the Mitzi replacement body is also mainly made out of plastic, only the hands are way more squishier than the Kissmela ones, and the positive thing is that I have left the red stockings on that doll and she was wearing very tight shoes and therefore she got some staining on her feet, and as you can see you can very easily remove that kind of staining. And that's not possible, for example, on the Menf body and also not on a Made to Move Barbie body, because the feet, in case of Barbie, or the whole lower leg on Menf are made from a different material and it will stain easier or more easily than the plastic ones of the Mitzi or the Kissmela bodies. And the removal on the hard plastic ones is of course also easier. The lighter skinned body is not really a match for any Barbie head. As you can see, the tennis player is at least somewhat darker and a bit more yellow. The Kissmela body is a bit more grayish and red in undertone. It's simply different. Here again the two other fashion doll bodies that you can buy on Aliexpress. This time this is the lightest Mitzi replacement body color you can get. And I totally forget to mention, the one from the first comparison is just the second color you can get. There are only 4 colors available as far as I know, and the first one is the lightest and the second one is the one that you have seen in the previous comparison. I would say the replacement body and the Kissmela bodies are pretty similar in color. The biggest difference is just the texture of the material, because the Mitzi body has a matte finish and the Kissmela one is simply shiny, and that's the reason why they look different on camera, but in person there's not a big difference. In general, maybe you could also see that the Kissmela body does have some slightly sanding marks on the clothing line or clothing seam from the Kissmela body. You could sand it down. You could totally sand down the shininess on this body if you like to. I have to be honest, I do not really care about it, but you could do that. You could matte the body with Mr. Super Clear, or you could just sand it down a bit to make it less shiny, but that's a DIY aspect on this doll, and in my opinion it's not necessary, but that's just up to you. The super white Menk body, that's just how it is called, super white, is not so much different in color to the Kissmela white body. It's just a little bit more yellow in the undertone, but that's it. In general, all the bodies are extremely pale. So now it's time to get on the heads. Successful with the orange haired girl. Here it looks like the neck does not really fit 100%, but it does fit very nicely. The thing is, the head is still a bit squishy. It simply needs a little bit more time to cool down, and then it is completely movable without any problem. No success on the first try for the pink-haired girl. The head was simply not hot enough, it was not squishy enough, it didn't work. But it worked fine on the second try. A girl needs shoes, and we have to find out which kind of shoes will fit her. Monster High G1 shoes do not fit, they are simply too wide and too big for these feet. Maybe if you use closed ones and you do have simply a different head on this body, it would be an option, but for this one, it does not really work out. The second shoes are LOL OMG shoes, and as you can see, there's no way the foot cannot go inside. Then we do have some rainbow high shoes. The height of the heel does fit, but the shoes are very wide, so it's not really an option here. The boots are totally no name. I do not know where this model comes from. It is paired with a lot of more newer style sets you can buy on Aliexpress. In theory, these are too large, but they are not so wide. They are a little bit long in the front or in the tippy toe, but overall they do fit. This is a mini brand's fashion shoe, and I was simply too lazy to unbuckle it completely. My fault. Basically, it's a good fit in size and everything, but the foot itself is a bit higher in its heel than the shoe, and therefore there's a gap between the feet and the shoe. Now we are coming to the good old original Barbie shoes. Both rows that now follow are completely authentic Barbie shoes. All of them do have their classical V under their soles, so they should fit the normal size Barbie feet, the normal made to move for example. But as you can see here, they are not the same size. Even Barbie does not always have the same size in shoes. Some of them are way smaller than the others, but all of them are in the same category, and that's problematic when you want to squeeze them on a feet that is not a Barbie, and even problematic if you want to squeeze it on a made to move Barbie and it does not fit, because in theory it should fit, because it does have the V under its sole. Anyway, as you can see, some of them do fit and some just don't. In general, they are a bit tiny on this feet because it is simply a bit bigger than Mength or Mitzi, but it is doable. The last row are fake shoes, fake Barbie shoes, and even some, I don't know, no-name shoes. These do fit better. I'm pretty sure that the two ones in the middle are knockoff Barbie shoes, because I think I remember these models in the normal Barbie line, but I could be wrong, I'm not sure. The first one and the last ones are no knockoffs, they're just no-name shoes, or if they are made for a certain doll line, I just don't know, because the white ones even have a left and a right side, but the pink ones are just the common standard Fakey shoe you will get with a lot of different fashion sets, and it's not my favorite model, but it is okay. I simply was not very happy with the outcome of the first try-on, so I decided to get a few more of the mini brand shoes. Plus, the only plastic shoe model I have that look really nice on these feet. I do not know who made it, I just bought it also on AliExpress, and it simply looks good on the foot. This part here is especially for everyone that is interested in those Fakey Barbie Retro clone heads, but simply does not want to spend so much money on a body, and I can totally understand that. I just did not expect that collectors who do collect the real deal, the real vintage Barbies, or even the higher price reproductions would be interested in these heads. But of course, why not? The YouTuber Kada made a video about these heads. She is a vintage collector and therefore she does have a lot of bodies that should in theory match these heads, but she underestimated the paleness of these heads. As I said in my last video about these heads, they're not made for the Western market, and Asians love very pale skin, extremely pale skin, and it will be very hard to find a vintage body that matches these heads. But she's completely right with her idea of a clone doll. Why should you pay a lot of money for a body for a clone doll? Because the whole idea of a clone doll is to get a more affordable or a cheaper doll, but here with these heads it is simply a bit different. But nonetheless, there are other options for these heads. I bought the body in the middle quite a while ago, not to pair together with the Barbie head. I bought it for an Obitsu head, and I thought it might match the Obitsu white skin option, but it does not. It is way lighter in skin than the Obitsu, the standard Obitsu white skin, but in fact it does match these clone heads. The skin match is not perfect. The body has a stronger pink undertone, and the head itself is just white, not a big undertone of yellow or pink or anything. It is simply a very white head. Here you can also see the difference to the tennis ball player, and a lot of people say that the tennis ball player is already very pale, and again, these bodies, these heads are way paler than everything that we usually do see here in the Western world. I guess the only dolls I know of are the Twilight dolls, the vampire dolls. They should have nearly the same or a similar color than all these parts have. I took off the head from the Manx body because this head does already have a ponytail, and I think it's easier to see the neck that way. I also brought this vintage head I have from the 70s. It's the only real vintage head I have, and it simply was part of a lot I bought years ago. So far I did nothing with it because of its neck. It is not straight as the neck of a standard newer Barbie doll head. And of course, if you would like to put this old vintage head on a regular newer body, the doll would always look up because the necklines are not on the same level. This is the reason I was very surprised about the modern circle head, because it does not have a neck like this, and I was very sure that every authentic vintage Barbie head and also the reproductions would have a neckline like the vintage one you can see here. And the fake and clone heads you can see also here do have a standard normal neckline like a modern Barbie. And also the modern circle Barbie does have the same modern normal neckline. or neck mechanism or neck hole, whatever you would like to call it. But it is understandable for the modern circle doll because they don't have retro bodies. I mean, they do have vintage bodies, but not the ones from the 60s or 70s. For the modern circle line, they used this 90s gymnastic sporty body, the forerunner for the made to move, you could say, I think. But I simply have no idea what neck variant usually is used for a reproduction head. I'm pretty sure it is just the vintage version that is not really straight, but I simply have no clue. When I bought the fake heads on Aliexpress, I simply could see on the pictures of the seller and reviews that these heads are just made like a normal new standard Barbie head, and that's the reason I bought them, because for me as non-vintage collector, it's easy to find a new body. But of course for a vintage collector it's even harder to find a body that matches the skin color and now even the neck part. For these heads you can simply use every modern kind of Barbie head matching body. But now again, back to the body that I found on Aliexpress that I originally bought for the Ibiza head, but it is a very good match for the head and the price is way more affordable. The neck of this body is way smaller. It is not super small, but the head is a bit wobbly on it. First of all, the head was on the length body before, so the neck should have been widened a bit. And the second thing is the head is still a little bit warm and squishy, so I guess it would be a better fit if the head would be completely new and cold. But in general, of course, you could just add a few rubber bands to the neck to stiff it up a little bit, because a lot of people use these bodies for their Barbie doll heads. By the way, I should mention that this body is available in different skin colors, because there are not a lot of Barbie heads that do have that light skin, but in general, this body is still sold on Aliexpress. A fun fact is that it is sold by quite a number of sellers, but all of them, or not all of them, but a lot of them do not have the white color in stock. But I found one that does have the white skin color option for now. And I'm pretty sure that other sellers will get it in stock soon or later. This is always the case with Aliexpress, you just have to wait, and when you do have the pictures of the bodies, you can always search for the same item on Aliexpress again, and you should be successful in finding them. So we should talk about prices here. The second version of the Kissmela body cost me around 40 euros when I bought it. The length body here that you can see is the most affordable one you can get. It cost me back in the day around 20 euros. Now it is a little bit more expensive. But as I always say, there are ongoing sales all few weeks, so you can save money. And the body in the middle for me cost only 11 euro including shipping, which is of course way lower than the other ones. Of course, this body has not the same quality. I really have to say that, because the length body and also the Kissmela bodies are high quality fashion doll bodies. The one in the middle is a good quality, lower priced body that has mobility, but it is not the same quality as the other two. But another plus point for the last or the more affordable body is the height, because I know a lot of collectors don't like to have dolls in their collection with a height difference. And of course these fashion model dolls, whatever you would like to call it, are way larger or taller than a regular Barbie, and this body has the same height as a regular Barbie would have, and it even is not so much smaller in the chest or anything. The head on this body still has a very nice look. I am very sure that there are even more affordable or cheaper doll bodies on Aliexpress that would also work, but honestly these heads do have a really nice quality, and why not getting the head first and then decide, do I really want to invest a lot of money into this head, or just not so much money, or even no money because I don't like the head. I mean, the quality seems to differ a little bit, because the second head I got had some issues about the little stains that I could remove, but they were there. And I think there's even a bit of a difference sometimes with the hair. because Kata stated that she had a lot of shedding and I simply did not have that experience. The blonde girl did not shed a bit, to be honest. She did not lose any of her hair while I styled it. But as I said, she is a little bit thinner rooted than the pink haired girl, and the one with the pink hair did shed a little bit, but by far not as much as the doll heads that Kata bought. So I simply don't know. There might be some quality differences, and therefore it even might be safe just buying the head first, look if it is okay and if you like it, and then go for the body. And therefore I have linked all the bodies that I used into the description. I'm not affiliated with anybody, it's just for your information. You also do not have to buy these bodies from the links, just take them for your research and simply buy whatever looks good to you. For the links it's not possible to choose the correct choices, and therefore I would like to repeat the skin color names. So if you're on the link for the mength body, it is the most affordable one, and you would need the super white color for the Barbie fake heads. The more affordable body would have the skin color white skin. The seller I found simply calls it New Body 6 White Skin. And for the Kissmela body there is only one choice for these fake heads, because the old body does have only the beige color, and the new one, the more expensive one, is the lighter or white skinned one. They just call it white 1.2 centimeter new. Okay, that was a lot of talking. I hope you're still awake, since I have 2 new dolls that are finally complete. They of course also get a styling. The first model is the Fakey head. Originally I wanted to give her a nicer hairstyle, but I was running out of time, completely running out of time, and therefore she got only this little hair ribbon. But I have to say it suits her pretty good, because this head does have more hair than the blonde one, and I like it that way because you can see the very nice long hair like this better than if it would be in braids or something, but I guess I will leave it that way. Blouse, skirt, belt and shoes are all from Aliexpress, but together they look, in my opinion, very nice, and it's an overall matching look. I also gave her this mini Ben's fashion bag from Series 3. It is my favorite bag of the whole line, to be honest. I don't know why. It is plastic, mainly plastic, but I simply like this one. It's so shiny and pretty, and it goes together with a lot of looks, I guess. And of course, because she does have separated fingers, she also gets some rings, and she also got some pretty simple golden studs as earrings. Next is the authentic Barbie head. Her look is a little bit more modern, mainly because of her hair and lip color. She got this Series 2 mini Ben's fashion bag. I usually put in some dogs, but this time this girl got a cat. And of course she also got as much rings as she could wear. And of course some earrings as well, because she had pierced ears, and I think they match the overall look. So here we have both girls side by side. What do you think? Which one is the prettiest? I don't know. I think I like the modern circle a bit better than the Fakey one, mainly because of the skin color. I wish that the Fakey heads would have different skin color options, but yeah, I think that's not really possible, because how could you find the right body for it if you even have their different skin color options? So I guess it's fine. It is a very, very cool head, and I'm very sure it's not my last one. I don't know. I think they're very cute. I'm not a vintage collector, but I get more and more warm with this face mold. I mean, I don't think that I will ever get another authentic retro Barbie head for the price I have paid for the small circle doll. Don't think so, but still I'm very happy that I do have this doll. I think she's very special. I am not the biggest fan of Kanekalon hair. I cannot really stand it. It is so complicated to restore, but it was not necessary with this head. The head was in very good condition and therefore I'm super happy with the result. And for the Fakey girl, I definitely like the Kissmela body better than the Mength one on this particular head. As I said, it does not have so much details. It is more, I don't know, I think it does have a little bit more of a retro vibe, maybe because the very itty bitty tiny waist and the less detailed hands. It is more expensive than the lower priced Mength body, but at least it is cheaper than the Mength body with more joints, and overall it is a very nice body. For the right head I would buy another one in a second, but for now I'm good. I try to behave not buying the next retro Fakey head directly because I would like to enjoy the ones that I have so far. Now it is really the end of the video and I have to thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for spending your time with me. I hope it was not wasted for you and I really wish you a great new week. Bye!